This video will provide a brief overview of the Ohio Interactive Continuum for Teacher Development. This resource was created to assist educators in more deeply reflecting around the standards for the teaching profession. This is going to be crucial as educators are transitioning into OTES 2.0. They're going to need to ensure that their professional growth plans and those goals that they set are aligned to the Ohio standards for the teaching profession. And also that they've so critically assessed and reflected on where they are in those standards so that they can set goals that are very customized, tailored to their individual needs. Secondly, this resource will assist educators in identifying the alignment between those standards that they select, their goals that they've set, and the OTES 2.0 rubric. Or we could even work backwards and start with that OTES 2.0 rubric. Maybe there's an area where I've received some feedback and I want to work backwards and dig a little bit deeper into those standards to help me write my goal, to help me write my action steps. Also, when creating the professional growth plan, the teacher will identify different action steps. What kind of things are you going to do to help you meet your goal? One of the things that this interactive continuum will provide is a variety of resources that are aligned to the standards for the teaching profession. So once a teacher selects what standard area or what element area they will be working on, and that aligns to their goal, they can identify possibly some different resources to get them started. And I say some different resources because, obviously there's so many resources out there, but what we did want to do is provide a starting point. So, as you're looking at that standard area, maybe there's a professional article or a professional blog or a one-page resource or a website that may assist the educator in kind of beginning to think about their goal and some different action steps that might be most appropriate in helping them meet that goal. And lastly, while we know that this interactive continuum can be utilized by an educator, let's say working in who has complete autonomy in writing their professional growth plan, we also wanted to provide a resource that would assist in conversations and dialogue between an evaluator and a teacher, a coach and a teacher, or maybe teacher to teacher in those peer groups and teams. So one of the things that this interactive continuum will do is it's going to pull together different resources provided by the Ohio Department of Education. So some resources that may look familiar to you. So I'm going to go through a few of those resources and then dive into the continuum so you can see how everything's connected. So one of the resources is the self-assessment summary tool. This is something that teachers can reflect on, let's say at the beginning of the year. They can do this annually. They do not need to provide this to their evaluator. But again, it's meant for that self-reflection on all of the standards. And you can see here how the standards are teased apart into these element areas. The teachers identify their strengths, their areas for growth, and they check different priorities that they may have. And those priorities will be crucial as they're writing their plans and considering what goals might be most appropriate. When I'm looking at the self-assessment summary tool, I'm always left with more questions. I want to go just a bit deeper. So one of the resources that I really like that we have linked up into this tool is the Ohio Continuum of Teacher Development. You'll notice here, this is a screenshot. We have our standard area, the different elements. And what it does is so on this one, you just see the elements listed. This really stair steps out the elements and digs deeper into what it might look like. How might that progress over the course of someone's career? And just because, you've been in education for a while, you may be lower in some areas or higher in some areas, right? But it's really helping you tease apart, what does that standard area actually look like, or that element area? You'll notice that there are these different levels here listed up top. These do not, in fact, align to the OTES rubric. The continuum was created in advance of OTES, and it was not meant to be evaluative in nature. Really, what this was meant for is to dig deeper into those standards, to help promote self-reflection, to think about goal setting, to think about the types of professional development that may be most appropriate to move the educator forward. So it's really meant for self-reflection, growth, and really considering kind of some of those next steps to move everyone forward in their career. And lastly, another resource that we've included in the continuum is the OTES 2.0 rubric. And you may notice here in the rubric, we have the different standard areas and the elements. So again, you're seeing connections between all of these, that alignment of the standards, the elements, we see it in all of these places. So what our goal was with this Ohio Interactive Continuum for teacher development was to pull everything together in an interactive format so that you could kind of go back and forth between different resources. And then also to be able to find some of those appropriately aligned resources to assist educators in identifying appropriate action steps to help them move forward. So what I would like to do is just quickly walk you through the continuum. There's another video on how to utilize the continuum. It digs a lot deeper and it provides you some different examples of what it may look like in different real world situations. So there's a little introduction and some different protocols on how you might utilize the resource. Again, that's all provided in that follow-up video on utilizing the interactive continuum. But some of these resources should look familiar in here. So we have the self-assessment summary tool that has the standards in these element areas. So let's say that we've selected this as an area of interest. We can kind of dig a little bit deeper and go directly into the Ohio Continuum for teacher development. We could also dig a little bit deeper and look at the OTES 2.0 connections. So I'm going to kind of just go into OTES 2.0 into the rubric and see where element 1.5 is in the rubric. And I can read a little bit about that there. Let's say I want to go back into the continuum. I can work backwards. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of hyperlinks here. These hyperlinks are those resources that I mentioned earlier. So as a teacher is, let's say, creating their action steps for their professional growth plan, you can click on these different resources and it will actually launch different websites, different articles that may be beneficial as they're writing those action steps. You can go back to the self-assessment. If you would like more information, again, on how to utilize this tool, check out our second video. It is utilizing the Ohio Interactive Continuum for teacher development. Thank you.